What's up, Zox fam? We're back with some more Etheria Restart. Now, we're going to be getting into a character overview of the Phantom Edge Oboro. Now, this is a fairly unique character because at the recording of this video, she is currently the only Animus in the game that can do what she does. So we're going to go ahead and dive into her kit. Now, getting into her skill 1, which is the Aqua Shadow, Oboro utilizes high-speed swordsmanship that is difficult to perceive and deals 2 hits of 120% damage to a single enemy with a 20% chance to inflict a 2-turn speed down, and then with her unique passive, Extreme, on a crit hit, has a 60% chance to inflict 1 stack of bleed. Now, the thing about bleed is that when the turn starts, it takes indirect damage equal to 50% of the attacker's attack. So this is basically something that is going to be the other form of DOT that exists within the game, except instead of it scaling off of the enemy's max HP, this will be scaling off of her attack. Right? Now, getting into the skill 2, you have the Night Rain. So Oboro utilizes high-speed swordsmanship that is difficult to perceive and deals 290% damage to a single enemy with a 100% chance to inflict a 2-turn of defense break. So her being able to break their defensive layer is going to just enable her to hit them even harder, or any of her allies being able to hit them harder as they rotate into their turns. And then, of course, when we get into the skill 3, the Swift Gale, Oboro channels energy to infuse her blade with anima, unleashing an unavoidable sword technique against the enemy, dealing 390% damage to a single enemy, and on a crit hit, sets the target's strike prep back by 30%, with a 75% chance to inflict 2 stacks of bleeding. Now, of course, with this, the reason why that this is actually really important to understand is because with bleeding, it actually can stack. And the way that it stacks is that this damage all will be proccing according to the number of stacks that you have. So it is 50% or damage equal to 50% of the inflictor's attack per stack. Okay, so that's the easiest way to kind of understand it. So all in all, outside of just the initial impact hit, you also are going to be seeing excess damage coming from the bleeds, which can be quite impactful when we're talking about a character that uniquely has this ability at this moment. Now, when we're looking at our modules, I would definitely say as far as module recommendations, starting out in the early game, what you're going to have, for example, as some really easy go-to are going to be things like Onslaught. Onslaught, of course, is going to be giving you on a 12 matrix bonus a 45% attack increase, which is definitely going to be extremely valuable. Now, you're also going to have other sets, for example, like the Momentum set, where the Momentum set is actually going to be giving you a 12% crit rate increase. And when attacking, for each debuff or control effect on the target, damage is increased by 6%, up to a maximum of 30%. Now, for what you could start to invest in and utilize as you're progressing is going to be ones like Harvest set. So it gives you an attack increase of 10%. And then when attacking, if the target's HP is above 50%, additionally ignores 30% of their defense. Then you also have sets like Kenai, which gives a crit damage of increase of 18%. And the first 3 instances of damage dealt by this Animus during the turn are increased respectively by 25%, 15%, and 5%. And then, of course, you have the Fury Edge, which will be your super in-game piece, which is going to be giving you a crit rate increase of 12% and also a crit damage increase of 20%. Now, as far as main stats and substats that you want to aim for, I would definitely suggest in the early game, you're going to be going for things like crit rate percent, crit damage percent, and attack percent. Now, once you get stats fulfilled in other areas and you start to get more modules accessible, then you'll start seeing things like crit damage, and then affect accuracy maybe, or crit damage, attack. It just really all depends on how your stats are allocated and how much fine tuning you're able to do at that given moment. Now, from there, I would definitely say substats that are going to be extremely good to aim for a character like Oboro is easily going to be things like crit rate, crit damage, for sure attack, because that's directly going to be affecting your bleeds. And then on top of that, you can look at stat values like, for example, speed for any rotation needs that you might have to tweak. Now, as far as skill prioritization, I would definitely say starting out with the skill 3, you're going to have the first node that increases damage multiplier to 390%. The second node increases the chances of inflicting bleeding to 75%. The third node further will increase the strike prep setback effect to 30%. Then you'll also have in the last node a reduction of the skill cooldown by 1 turn. Now, going into the next skill, which will be the skill 2, the first node is going to increase the damage multiplier to 260%. The next node is going to increase the chances of inflicting a defense down to 85%. The third node further increases the damage multiplier to 280%. And then finally, you increase your chances of inflicting a defense break to 100%. And then lastly, you have the skill 1. And the first node increases the damage multiplier to 110%. The second node will increase the chances of inflicting a speed down to 15%. The third node will increase the damage multiplier further to 120%. And then lastly, you're going to have the chances of increasing the bleed or inflicting the bleed upon landing a crit hit to 60%. Now, as far as shell recommendations, I would definitely say starting out in Jax, you're going to have the Agent Lizards, Buddha Panda, Twilight Knight, Crossroad, White Fang, Golden Lion, Count, Law of Silence. Void State is just simply putting the character into a state where they cannot be targeted by single target abilities. Now, as far as our infamous pros and cons, I would definitely say one of the biggest pros with Oboro is she's pretty self-sufficient at being able to scale her own damage. She provides herself her own defense break. She further then has a high concentrated amount of damage that will happen in her skill 3. And then on top of that, you have the bleeds, which is unique to her at the moment in the recording of this video. So you really honestly couldn't replace her with anyone else if you were looking for the specific role that she plays. And when we're even looking at her skill 1, her also being able to apply a slow or a speed down with then in conjunction a bleed based off of crits, that's actually a really nice value because that means you're getting excess or extra damage on top of them not being able to rotate into their turns as fast as they might normally be able to. So that allows you to stack it, right? So really, really important stuff. Now, when we get into the cons, I mean, she is faced with some of the more typical things that most DPSs get faced with, is the fact she's going to be highly squishy. So you are going to have to pair her up with other characters to help sustain her. The other alternative that you have is to actually pair her up with something that, like say, for example, a shell that's going to give her the ability to lifesteal, because this is the only way she'll be able to self-sustain herself. And I think that that's one of the biggest things when it comes down to most DPS is finding ways to keep them alive, because as amazing as their damage might be, they aren't freight trained. So they do need to have some sort of defensive layering, whether it be shield or some sort of restoration through either healing and or lifesteal. So that's basically going to be that for our overview of the Phantom Edge Oboro. I hope that this was able to give you a better understanding of how she works and maybe how you can apply her to your composition. Now, of course, with that, guys, definitely let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more amazing Etheria Restart content. But that's going to be that with this one, guys. Everyone, stay blessed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.